The undercity never truly slept. It only changed the pitch of its breathing. Steam hissed from cracked pipes like exhausted animals. Brass gears turned behind grimy glass. Somewhere above the smog, the upper city glittered with clean light and cleaner lies. Down here, everything ran on coal, desperation, and the quiet understanding that the guild owned more than the machines. Elias Vane sat at his workbench with a pocket watch open in front of him. Gold filigree, sapphire crystal, a tiny mechanical bird that still tried to sing, even though its spring was nearly wound down. Inside the lid, etched in precise guild script, was the message that had arrived 3 nights earlier. Bring the heart to the high spire by midnight, or we open her. His sister's name was not written there. It didn't need to be. They had taken Leora from the small clinic where she worked. 2 enforcers in brass masks. No raised voices. No struggle that anyone admitted to seeing. By the time Elias reached the place, only a single drop of blood remained on the floorboards, already turning dark. The guild claimed the mechanical heart he had built was an abomination, a theft from the natural order. In truth, they feared what it proved, that the body could be improved, that flesh was no longer the final authority. And they knew Elias would do almost anything to get his sister back. He had spent the last 2 days and most of the nights building a second heart. The first one, the one they demanded, still rested in a false compartment of his coat. It was elegant, efficient, and by guild standards illegal. The second heart was something else. He had given it the ability to listen, to feel the pulse of every major gear train in the city, and, when commanded, to answer. At 10 minutes to midnight he closed the watch, locked the new heart into a reinforced case, and stepped into the steam lift that would carry him out of the undercity. The high spire rose through the smog like a polished needle. Guild banners hung limp in the wet air. Enforcers waited at the gate. They searched him with the bored thoroughness of men who believed no one would be foolish enough to try anything inside their own stronghold. The case was opened, glanced at, and waved through. The original heart stayed hidden against his ribs. The audience chamber sat near the top of the spire. Gears formed the walls and the floor. The guildmaster's throne was a complex of interlocking brass that shifted slowly beneath him, adjusting to his weight. Leora knelt at the foot of the dais. An iron collar circled her throat. A single red lens on the side glowed steadily, waiting for the signal that would drive a thin blade inward. The guildmaster looked almost gentle. "You brought it," he said. "Place it on the pedestal." Elias set the case down and stepped back. The guildmaster opened it himself. For a moment his face showed genuine pleasure at the craftsmanship. He reached for the gleaming heart, and the heart answered. It did not shout. It simply changed the conversation every machine in the spire was having with itself. Clock stopped. Pressure valves reversed. Steam that should have vented upward slammed downward instead. The guildmaster's personal augmentations, the delicate clockwork that kept his aging body upright, seized in a single, violent spasm. Around the chamber, enforcers staggered as their limb actuators locked. Some fell. Others remained standing, frozen in place like statues of brass and leather. The collar around Leora's neck clicked open and dropped to the floor with a dull sound. She scrambled backward on hands and knees until she reached Elias. The guildmaster clawed at his chest. His brass ribs expanded and contracted in the wrong rhythm. He tried to speak and produced only a wet, mechanical click. Elias stepped forward, drew the original heart from his coat, and held it up so the dying man could see it clearly. "You asked for the abomination," he said. "This is the improved version." He turned, took his sister's arm, and led her toward the emergency lift. Behind them the spire began to complain. Pipes groaned. Safety seals ruptured in sequence. Somewhere high above, a pressure vessel gave way with a sound like a great bell being struck and then torn apart. They rode the lift down through levels that were already losing light. At street level Elias looked back once. The high spire still stood, but its windows were going dark one by one, as if the building itself were finally learning it had a heart, and that heart no longer belonged to the guild. Leora leaned against him, shaking but alive. The undercity's familiar stink of coal and oil wrapped around them like a rough blanket. Elias closed his hand around the original heart and felt its steady, outlawed rhythm against his palm. Above them, the spire continued its long, grinding collapse into silence.